Hello and welcome to day 2 of playoff week 2 of Split 1 of the 2020 OPL. It's playoff week, baby, brought to you by NeoSurf. I could not be more excited for this, particularly after how eventful last night was. Someone who was there for that main event. We're joined, of course, by Juve, someone who sat by and merely observed the chaos and madness that happened throughout last night's broadcast, while I'm sure screaming at us to get back to the games was Spawn. Spawn, welcome back to the OPL. Sadly, I suppose.
No, absolutely not sadly. I think, we went out playing some pretty good League of Legends for the first 2 games and then some pretty ordinary League of Legends for the last 3, but credit to Direwolves, they came back after that pause really composed and focused, and I think that shows an experienced lineup, and anyone that has chippies and cupcakes in there is going to show that composure, and I hope they can take it to the Chiefs today.
Absolutely. Juves, welcome back. Good to have you back, despite the fact that we've now got the full broadcast team is on the air. Somehow you've managed to stick around.
That's like such a backhanded welcome. Look, by the way, I know we've got the team back, but I guess you're here. Welcome back, I guess. That's how it felt.
But
that's how it was intended. So,
yeah, right. Yeah. Right. So after an hour that we spent together, probably the best hour of your life, we're not friends anymore. As soon as Spawn comes back.
No, we've gone past friendships where we know each other too well now. Spawn,
right.
You were talking.
I was going to say, the thing is that Juves always has felt like he is part of the broadcast team, even when he's not part of the broadcast team. He's kind of like, that friend that you don't really know who knows him in the friendship group, but you're pretty sure someone does, because he's always where you are. Yeah. That's kind of how Juves feels like to the broadcast team.
And that's probably because I've always lost in playoffs, and then I've always just been on the broadcast anyway.
Something we got in common, buddy. Yep. Something we got in common.
Of course, last night was a very eventful night for League of Legends. We saw Direwolves come back, reverse sweep order 3-2 in their best of 5. Sorry to bring it up again.
We already covered it.
We're professionals. No, we want to celebrate it. The better team won. The better GM GM'd. I mean, what am I going to say? So that, of course, means that the Direwolves move on in playoffs, and tonight are up against the Chiefs. That is your entire evening ahead of you. Chiefs versus Direwolves for the penultimate evening of OPL League of Legends action for Split 1. The winner of this will go on to face Legacy in the grand final. And I feel like we're in for a very eventful night. Obviously, we saw Direwolves off to a shaky start yesterday, but adapting, learning, surviving, and ultimately coming through with the goods. How do we feel, Jews, tonight they're going to fare against the Chiefs?
Well, I think that historically the team that's had the longer run in playoffs, the team that's played the most games, has fared far better when it comes to the clutch game in the playoff race. So it wouldn't surprise me if Direwolves come out of the gate and maybe take a game or two, just because I guess they got that. I'm not going to call it match fitness, but they feel comfortable in their environment.
Yeah, I can agree with that. However, I do want to throw out the opinion, and people are going to call me salty for this, but it's my job as an analyst, so I have to say it, right? I don't think Direwolves actually played any better in the last 3 games. I think they kind of maintained a consistent level, and I think that this is something that Direwolves have actually done. They throw, and I know Juves has been really critical of this, they throw kind of the same game plan at you, like over and over again. The one time they changed that game plan was game 3 when they put Chippies on the Malphite, and they tried it once against the Chiefs last week when they put him on the Maokai instead. But otherwise they play like carry top laner, and they play heavily around their carry top laner. And I think that teams either deal with it well or they don't deal with it well. And when teams like take, uneven fights on the top side of Summoner's Rift early in the game, Direwolves do get a lot of wins. And that's how they won their game against Chiefs last week as well. So I'll be interested to see what kind of form the Direwolves come in with, because I think this game is going to be largely dictated by top side of the map again. And the Chiefs have, in my opinion, like the best top side of Summoner's Rift with the end Croc and Claire. So I think that's a really hard area to attack.
Are you not expecting a full 5 games tonight, Spawn?
I would expect this to be about an hour and a half, and for me to be out of here by 7 p.m.
Out of here and straight into the NPL. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely. I cannot wait for us to get on Summoner's Rift together. I don't want us to play ARAM. I either want to play a proper game with Juves and Nick Boy on the same team, or I want to play TFT, because I know there are some TFT Smurfs in here. and I want to get schooled in TFT. That'll be fun.
Well, we are going to leave it up to Jews to pick. Last night, technical issues where I seem to have somehow travelled in time at the end of the broadcast meant that we couldn't do the MPL. But tonight, we're confident that it is going to happen. So, Jews, you'll be able to pick what format we'll be taking the MPL in. But before we get to that, obviously, there's going to be a lot of League of Legends action, but there's also going to be a lot of prize action for you guys because NeoSurf, the one, the only, our beloved presenting partner for the playoffs, are giving away a bunch of stuff to you guys throughout the evening. So every single game that gets played tonight, there's going to be a challenge put up on the OPL Twitter page at OPL. You just need to go there before the game starts, see what the challenge is. Last night, it was... guess the total amount of gold earned throughout the match or the total amount of time the match plays, alternated between the two. And then the person who gets the closest number got themselves a legendary skin, and I believe it was 20 masterwork chests and keys. And then 4 runners-up got themselves an epic skin and 10 masterwork chests and keys. That's nothing to sneeze at.
No, that's
you
a
don't
lot
want
of
to sneeze
chest
at
and
that.
keys, yeah.
That's a lot of chest to get. That's going to take a long time to open. In some ways, that's a bad prize because that's like there's a lot of work then on behalf of you that you need to go through.
It's
can
manual
open them
labor.
all at
It's
once.
manual labor, or clicking the lead client, disenchanting, and clicking, disenchanting. Manual labor.
Now that I think about it, I actually think that NeoSurf didn't think this through at all, and they should probably just give all those chests to me. But if that doesn't happen, then please go there, enter the competition. It's easy. You can enter as many times as you want over the course of the evening, and we look forward to seeing how you guys do. So enjoy that. Something else I'm enjoying, Spawn.
Hello.
Last time I saw you, you were
Yes.
like a mountain man. You were like the Unabomber made love to the abominable snowman, and now you are as bald as my son's face. Was this a post-lost cleansing?
You should know exactly what this is. So when I lose, I'm not a graceful loser, Nick. And you should be able to attest to this. And so like off-season hits, and I'm a mess for like maybe a good 10 days. And I do something radical, like I shave this time, and then I just download a specific game that is not League of Legends, and I just go hard at this specific game. And sometimes the boys join me, and sometimes they don't. Sometimes, actually, the last 2 off seasons that I've lost have been the toughest ones, and no one has joined me. So I just grind this game by myself, and I'm a mess. So yes, this is Jake as a mess. This is loser Jake in front of you. I no longer have the honor of facial hair because I got my ass whooped yesterday. And I'm hoping that we see some more good League of Legends today from the 2 teams that are better than my team.
That certainly was the most pathetic thing I've heard all day. And I heard myself sobbing in the shower an hour ago. So no one's going to be happy that I asked this question, but did the shave go all the way down? Is it a full body situation or it's just the face?
Nah, so that's where the waxing comes in. So later on tonight, I'm going to dip myself in some sugar and honey that's been caramelized in some water, and then I'll start peeling the rest of the hair off, Nick.
Good. It's like a self-flagellating hate wax.
I was going to say, if you need someone to peel that, I'm only just down the road.
There you go. All right. Well, we know what we're going to fill the next 50-minute break with. But before we get to that 50-minute hate wax break, we, of course, need to play some League of Legends action. Let's get into game number 1. It is Chiefs versus Direwolves, and it is the Macca's Champ Select.
If you're craving the taste of your favourites, head to Macca's for a fast, safe and contactless drive-through experience. For your Macca's run, contact-free, we'll be here.
Well, let us kick it off with the very first game of the day. It's another best of 5. Direwolves back-to-back on Friday and Saturday taking on the Chiefs. This is the semi-finals. One team looking to secure themselves a spot in the grand finals next week to take on Legacy. and to be crowned your champions of the split one for this year's OPL. Rusty, it's going to be a big occasion. It's going to be a massive one in terms of what we sort of learnt really from Direwolves, not only from a mental resilience standpoint, but from maybe some of the drafting adaptations they'll need when they come up against the Chiefs for a second time now.
Yeah, no rest for the wicked here for the Direwolves, and if we are going to look at this matchup more holistically, they've played recently. They've played in round 1 of the playoffs between each other, and Chiefs were able to win that one 3-1. And one of the things that was brought up in the pre-show analyst desk, if we can call them analysts with that introduction, talking about waxing themselves, it was that Tien was playing a lot of carries in top lane. You know, he had a game with a Kayle up there, 2 Akalis and a Jace in the 3-1 victory. Like, that to me is a clear statement on how the Chiefs thought that they could take down the Direwolves. They were very successful, and already we're in game 1 ban phase, and look at the bans that are starting to come across. There's an Akali already.
And that's what I wanted to touch on as well, was the fact that, you know, when they went up against the Chiefs last time, they pretty much let them have anything they wanted. You know, we had the Akalis, the Dianas, we had the Karmas, we just had them on so many comfort picks, and they were really punishing what Direwolves were trying to bring to it as a result. And I mean, if you compare that to what Legacy decided to draft, they were denying these picks consistently. So it's already nice to see out of the gates that they have gone for that adaptation. We've talked about how Croc can be that 1v9 style jungler, and even when teams have put him far behind, he's still able to come back in those later stages of the game and just flip the script on its head, and you think, how on earth is that possible?
Yeah, they're able to do those crazy things. Already a lot of changes compared to yesterday here, Skimmy, as well. Aphelios is going to be one of those bands of consistency at the very least, but less focus onto the bottom lane, less focus onto Vital and Cupcake, who is going to be starting this game, by the way, not going to be Decoy. And so there's still options such as this Varus that we saw from them in one of the 5 games already.
Yeah, the Varus was actually a massive pickup when these two teams duked it out last time. It tended to be a big deciding factor for this brawling style composition, where the Chain of Corruption was just getting infinite value, locking members in place and making it much easier, obviously, to then follow it up with more CC. My question, obviously, goes to the fact that we've really viewed Chiefs as this superior team-fighting team, and we saw the Direwolves, at least in the latter stages at the best of 5, try to really force the objective of, we want to go for macro, but then we do and kind of want to go for these Malphite Vladimir comps and just say, yes, we can wombo combo as well. So I'm curious to see kind of what iteration we're going to get here today when they go up against the Chiefs for a second time now.
Yeah, and I don't think we'll necessarily get too many crazy adaptations in game 1. We saw the recipe for success from the Direwolves yesterday, right? They were able to win 3 games back-to-back with a similar philosophy. Some of the changes there, you know, that game 3 Malphite pick is definitely the one that you want to talk about. I think that was the best draft of the night from Direwolves. That's possible, right? And now they've shown that hand. It doesn't mean they're going to play it every game. It means that it's something the Chiefs have to consider through the rest of the draft because it was successful. But in game 1 of a best of, why not just go for the Olaf? You know it's a flexible pick, and then just pick your AoE team composition as you please. The spanner in the works comes from the Chiefs side.
Yeah, I love it whenever CK plays these kind of champions, right? Can really showcase his skill in that supporting role, and he's been a big dictating factor really in the success they find in that lane. You know, for a lot of those early weeks, they were just cool, calm, composed, transitioning into the mid game, having solid team fights and whatnot. But you know, in these later stages of the OPL, especially in playoffs, he's been a big reason why they are, you know, getting these big duo victories in the lane, translating that into objectives and team fights won, and you know, accruing these massive gold leads. So the Blitzcrank always a threat, no matter what.
Yeah, Korea CK and Katsuri had a fantastic first round of the playoffs. They did still get bested by Legacy in the end, but they did outclass Direwolves when they played them in the first round. So definitely a place that we'll have to be exploring in this one to see if that is where the difference once again exists. You could already see through the draft that that's a part of their strategy here. Blitzcrank very aggressive. They also take the Jarvan away from the Direwolves' preferences, maybe get rid of that Jarvan Ori combo. They might even pick it for themselves just because they already have the Misfortune, and they could just be the R button wombo themselves if they would like. But that also makes me think that is Tien going to play a tank then, when he has only been playing the carries against the Direwolves?
And it's the question, right, is how do they look to try and get Tien unlocked in this game? Because, you know, so far we're seeing a fair priority in this banning phase, denying both Shock and Claire on comforts. You know, Claire incredibly strong. He's always finding so much value with that Emperor's Divide, locking members in place. Especially, I believe it was like that triple kill at the Baron buff where they just could not escape the pit, and with no flashes, they were in so much trouble. Got to see how this Olaf flexes on out. Looks like, you know, the Chiefs are not concerned at all, and if they can get a Diana like this, you get very scared from the get-go here.
Yeah, again, when you look at Shock's champion pool, you're expecting something like a Cassiopeia to be seen. Diana already a comfortable pick from Claire, has flexed for Tien as well, matchup depending. And a big spanner. Obviously not going to be hard into the team fighting now. They still have that potential there. But this is like, you see the Diana, you say to yourself, we can't just handshake a mage in mid lane anymore. It's not as simple as that. There was Mordekaiser bans yesterday, that was possible. This is most likely going to be chippies while they're looking, but that Urgot hover is also possible for shock. So there are things at play, and this is one of those spatters.
That's something nice to see. We've seen it happen in the OPL once upon a time, and that just gave you so much control of the mid lane. If the team is looking to try and siege up, force the objective, try and use a Rift Herald or try and utilize a gold lead to get some form of map pressure, the Veigar shuts that down incredibly well. So,
and who'd that happen against, Skimmy?
What's that?
Do you remember the game? Do you remember who the Veigar was against?
Wasn't it Avant when they did it against, is it Pentanet? If my memory serves me well?
Pentanet vs Direwolves.
Pentanet Direwolves, that's the one. It was just, what was it? We had the Glacial Augment build, right? All the actives, all the denial, and mid lane just became fortified. You just could not do anything there.
So I think that, this Veigar pick, it has merit into Diana. Was traditionally also, very rarely seen, first of all, but is known as an Azir counter, because these champions who dash constantly and try and get in, they can't leave the cage then, right? So you're actually able to trade with someone who's meant to be able to kill you just from an assassin point of view.
Yeah.
The risk with Diana is that she covers distance very quickly, lots of it, and also has the shielding on top of everything else. Azir is still a control mage that has to ramp up. Diana can instantly proc that Conqueror and suddenly has more damage than you would expect very early into the game. So, you look at this matchup, I still think it's a volatile lane, but honestly, volatility is everywhere through all three lanes, and the jungle makes such a significant difference on this. Croc, very big proponent of his team's success, does a whole lot of damage for the team, and then you've got Mir, who was ramping up yesterday as the games went on. If he gets going early, Direwolves look like a whole new team.
They absolutely do. I think that's definitely an area we've got to be quite fixated on, is the junglers and how much of an impact Croc truly actually has in these games to unlock those members, to get them online in this game. Game number 1 of the best of 5 series here in the semi-finals of the OPL playoffs. Direwolves taking on the Chiefs for a second time now. We have to see what lessons they've learned, what they've really discovered in their VOD review, in their practice, and see if we get a different outcome this time around.
Yeah, not going to see the full aggression from Tan in top lane. It's the Aatrox versus the Renekton. This is one of those lanes where you could speak towards how it goes. Renekton has more healing than an Aatrox early, but I feel like, honestly, anytime we say that, Aatrox just wins a trade, and it's not true. So it is still kind of a skill matchup. Wave manipulation, a very big deal up there in that 1v1. Obviously, if Renekton's able to hit Q in a minion wave, he'll get more health back. Things as simple as that. As Tan, very early poke, trying to control that bush, is going to find an Olaf.
That he is. He's going to do a bit of damage. They're going to show that they are not concerned at all by those threats that present themselves in that part of the map. But I'm very interested to see, in the very first game, really what we can kind of really deduce from both the teams. If we're going to see any crazy shenanigans, or if it is going to kind of follow that same pattern like most games at the start of the series do tend to follow, which is, let's feel each other out, let's get a bit of a understanding as to if you've created anything crazy. Yes, we've got some different picks here right off the get-go, but what is the clear objective? Where's that mental at to really see how things start to then obviously transcend and change up?
Yeah, so we've got a leash right now, level 1 for Croc. He's going to get the blue buff. It's going to be a takeaway to the enemy red buff pretty much straight away. That level 1 movement of the Olaf did very clearly indicate where he was going to go. And there's also a ward placed very early on the bottom side of that raptor pit. So if Olaf wants to walk there, which he has to, he'll be spotted, and it means that not only is the Jarvan safe, he has freedom to take some extra camps. So it's going to be something that we'll watch here to see if anything further comes from that. So early movements from that Tahm Kench considering it, they'll opt away. And the Veigar has to respect. Jarvan having that free flank in terms of positioning does need to be careful.
Well, he's in the area. Not going to deny away those Raptors. But we're both junglers going for a trade on the horizon, stealing away buffs from one another, but both still getting what is required to make their job easy. Now we see Croc look to make that a reality, really abuse the fact of a Veigar being quite squishy. The cage goes on down, does zone away clear, but the damage will be sufficient enough to force out a flash. Veigar, very fragile now as a response.
Yeah, that's rough. So, the point that I was making before during the draft against the Diana is still fairly true for a Jarvan. You can deny a lot of the dashes away, but Diana's fast, and Jarvan's very fast and cover some serious distance with that. He'll usually get onto you before you can even react. Nice little eat there from Cupcake as a precautionary measure. But now that Flash has gone in mid lane, Skimmy, it's a rough lane to follow through if they don't have vision control.
Yeah, you feel like a lot of that strength now is going to be pixel perfect with landing down that cage and ensuring that you do not get collapsed upon if a tower dive were to even be a possibility here. But we may see that they just look to turbo farm, get themselves online as quickly as possible, or we may just see them go for a gank in the river. Mir in the wrong place at the wrong time. Easier rotation for Clear to come on down to this one, but hang on a minute. Maybe the script flips on its head. Vital jumps in and he jumps on out, forced to get the flash from Katsuri. The blight stacks were high. Croc is on the hunt, looking for it. Members are low, members are jumping in and jumping out. Flashes will be used. We're hungry for that first blood. And hungry and successful as Mir finds it.
Every man and his dog comes down there. Vital also going to get hooked over the wall. He's at risk of dying.
He's actually going to fall victim to this one. He doesn't have the flash, and that's going to be a nice little trade around. Chiefs find some gold for themselves too.
Everything went into that first kill, so he didn't have a form of disengage. And Korea CK, ever the vigilant support player, finds an opportunity to get that trade back. And it was a big trade back at that. There was potential advantage in bot lane from experience and farm that would have been found, given that Katsuri was in base. So incredible stuff there from Korea CK to equalize what was a very dangerous start to this game. 4 men at the Scuttlecrab.
And I think this is a very important kill, specifically for Mir to get him online, because I feel like he will, struggle against Croc. We saw what happened in the last time these guys went up to head-to-head against each other, and I feel like, Croc will have that bigger influence on the map. But when Mir finds himself in a slight advantage, when he finds himself, on a gold lead, he's able to really make the lives of, say, Chippies and Shock that much easier.
Now, this is still a big wave to collect in bottom lane. At the end of the day, Vital won't be too upset. He'll be there to get it. Mid lane's still going to be a point of priority that we still need to watch with a lot of vigilance, but Claire also used his flash in that last skirmish in bottom river, so not as simple as before. It's not just a strict advantage, but you can already see from the way Shock is playing this one. He knows the stakes of this lane. It's dangerous to get too close to the Diana at all.
Well, Mir is hovering around bottom lane, and this was what we really started to learn, at least from Games 4 onwards, was that Direwolves put a lot of resources now into the bottom side of the map and really, getting Vital in a comfortable situation, making sure that he was able to acquire those last hits for those gold leads, get those kills, get himself online with these massive item advantages over his counterpart. And, it seems to be that is what they're going to be sticking with here, and they need to, because Katsuri and Chris CK in the last time surely and, truly just smash them.
A little bit of extra pressure down there. Like you mentioned, bot lane definitely a place they want to consider. They're also going to hit that Drake ward just dying before the sweeper timed out. Chiefs on the other side of the map as TN ults while Croc was leaving.
Gets the root, does connect. Croc's going to look for the flag and drag underneath the tower. Going to force out a flash. Actually going to force out too. That's a beautiful little pickup there from Chippies.
Is it, or was it the Chiefs being silly? Because it felt like it was the Chiefs being... Like, Croc was leaving as TN went in, and then, he turned around and was like, oh, better go back in on that one. And then the tower was so ramped up that he had to flash away afterwards. Chippy still had flash, man.
And that's why he takes those. He's a happy man with that one. The gank unsuccessful. But he's able to pick up 2 flashes from his opposition. And that is vital information that can then obviously be dispersed amongst his teammates and say, hey, these gank attempts that may be possible, these objectives that may look to be contested, may just be a little bit easier as a result. And now we're starting to see what that actually means. That translates into a kill, jungle for jungle, but the damage of a Diana in an AoE situation looks beautiful. Veigar hopping across the wall, gets a kill, lands the cage. They fight in the octagon, and they get kills just like that. It's going to be a delayed one. The Cupcake comes out. Cupcake in the bottom lane, but Cupcake in the emotes too. Direwolves finding blood.
And that's super rough for the Chiefs. They find themselves walking into an Olaf who just stands and delivers. And they start the fight off with the man advantage. Mir now 2-1 and 2, but the real winner in that situation was Shock. Now with 2 kills to his name. That's a Veigar that is huge. He started this game off going for the revolver, not going for the lost chapter, which felt odd to me. But, having those 2 kills, it doesn't even matter. Is just going to be far further ahead of the Diana. Things go from bad to worse here from the Chiefs early after some, I want to say, some unusual decisions.
yeah, they've been forcing this aggression in the early starts, the early stages of this match, and they're getting punished, which
well, the thing is like,
uncommon.
Why go... You've both flashed away from top lane, right? So why invade the enemy jungle when they could be there if you're just going to lose that fight with no flashes up?
You start to wonder if it's a lack of respect or what it may be. There's going to be a cataclysm, but forced to flash away. The damage is just so strong. And they get punished again with a double kill. And now Mir is insane. 4-1 and 2.
Yeah, at this point, Claire and Croc are just dying off cooldown. They really need to slow this game down, try and neutralize the tempo that Direwolves are constantly building up. It's fair for me to say that Direwolves have come into this game with some momentum and some form. You know, we got to see them play the whole distance yesterday. 5 games of League of Legends, they were able to take down Order with a reverse sweep, so they'd be feeling themselves. Chiefs come in with some interesting decisions and the immediate punish from the Direwolves. You could also see that Tarb Kench ult top lane. We didn't actually get to see the result of it. We're just watching Mir kill a Rift Herald.
That's what we want to see, mate. It's a movie moment. Montage. Shock is massive, though. Doesn't have the gold required, though, to get that GLP completed, but will have the gold to get himself a stopwatch and get those bits. I believe the stopwatch would have come actually from all the kills and all the action, but he's definitely finding himself in a very favorable situation. It just adds to the strength that this pick really creates in that mid lane.
Yeah, and he's getting closer to that pretty cheap item spike here compared to that of Claire. While he is down about 10 CS, a lot of that was from the very early respect and things have been equalized. Top lane, you know, you saw some early aggression up there, but he's even in farm. He is even in experience. He's been doing quite well for himself considering chippies. And then Mir, you know, we said this just before the game started, but when he's in form, it looks like an entirely different team. Yep. Bot lane, they didn't get solo 2v2'd. The only kill that came from that was after a 4v4 skirmish. This isn't the Direwolves that the Chiefs beat last week.
And if you missed out on that NeoServe competition, don't worry. There will be another chance next game. If you haven't already, go on to Twitter at OPL. Follow them, interact, and test your backseat couch analyst skills, because you may just get some fancy rewards as a result of that one. We had plenty of interactions yesterday, and there were plenty of games for you to sink your teeth into. A full best of 5 is what we had.
Yeah, our reminder as casters is to tell you that you're too late. It'll be... Make sure you tell Nick Boy. Oh, hang on.
Oh my gosh. Olaf, so damn low. A shutdown was really staring him in the face. The light was beckoning. But a Devour once again saves the day.
Yeah, nobody actually going down there. Croc still has his ultimate. Was a couple of seconds away from that flash, it looks like, as well. Might have considered if the flash was available. You know, there was no Devour there for the Tarm Kench, but end of the day will be a cautious Jarvan, as he is a tank Jarvan at that with the Cinder Hulk done. At least they're able to repel. You know, that Rift Herald does get a charge, but they're not going to get any kills or a tower as a follow-up, but they will keep lane pressure here, Direwolves.
Croc has been relegated to his own jungle and is finding himself a healthy lead in that regard as a comeback mechanic, really. At this stage of the game, going to be forced to really sacrifice his objectives that have been going the Direwolves' way so far. And that 4-1 and 2, completely understandable why that is the case. Now, the Chiefs have to be careful here. There are multiple members here. The Abyssal Voyage is going to come on out. They may just look to collapse. Flashes are not there, but the Veigar wall cage will lock them down. Vital picks up the kill. Gets himself some gold in the bank.
Cupcake survives with the stopwatch in hand, so keep that in mind when they were diving there. If Blitzcrank hooked any of them, they still had the stopwatch to survive. The correct 2 people take the Tarb Kench ultimate. They get the kill to follow up there on the Katsuri as well. And even if Korea CK is able to get out with his life, that first tower is going to fall. I mean, you cannot understate just how powerful Direwolves have come into this game with. Their form looks impeccable so far, and you cannot really fault them.
That you cannot. You're seeing now with the GLP there, making it a little bit easier for this Veigar to land that combo, stack it passive up, and just become an AP nightmare. Where those one-shots become a living reality. The Proto Belt is now online for Claire as well, so really helps him in that burst combo that they're looking to achieve and become that gap closer to try and juke and jive when that cage does get deployed.
We didn't see any big carries in top lane yet either from Tian. It's the Aatrox in game 1, you know, still a big bruiser, and he's against the Renekton, so there was the potential to snowball him in that 1v1, but it's not the Akali that was banned away, it's not the Jace that we saw from him as well. So a little bit more reserved in this first game. The wildcard factor was, in fact, Claire going for the Diana. Now, Diana is a very strong champion, but like any assassin, if you fall behind, your purpose in the game starts to become harder and harder to execute on, and that is a 0-3 Diana.
Yeah, it's quite rough, right, when your job is to look to be that influence, not only in one-shotting, but just to be the AoE grouper, to make the lives of, Tien and Katsuri just that much easier to then follow up with. Like we said in the draft, the Blitzcrank flex is always going to be a nice little tech pick up here, something that can always find value, can always look for a pick, and maybe some of that responsibility now starting to shoulder on this bot lane a little bit more.
That's hook. Don't worry about the hook, we're going to look here instead.
Forget about the hook, because there are just fights taking place top lane and in the river. Vital will find himself another kill now, 2-1 and 3. Stopwatches are burnt in the river. Jungle and mid go at it.
Ooh,
Claire dashes across the wall and he will connect and flashes out as well. How do you do that? 1-3 and 1 now. A lot of shutdown gold in his pocket.
The Chiefs' brilliance in mid lane. You can see Claire comes up huge. He's able to get the shutdowns, get the kills, and get out with his life in some miracle performance. But unfortunately for them, the sobering reality is that they still lost that trade top lane at the exact same time. We'll get to see one of these fights again. That's going to be the one where Shock goes down. Now, the Jarvan goes in. You'd have to say sure to die, but buys so much time with his stopwatch. Shock tries to do the same, but Claire, very aware of his cooldowns and where that Veigar could go, saves the Q to get back over the wall, and then, of course, flashes to safety as Olaf follows.
Nice little pickup there. And with the CS lead in that matchup as well, may now just start to even out that matchup and really, once again, put himself in that desirable situation of being that assassin that can look to one-shot. Yeah, once again, in this lane. Has been his big change of pace. Always backing up Vital. Making sure that this man gets the kills, gets the gold, gets the damage to be that absolute terror.
Yeah, he's still someone to watch here, Skimmy, but the real danger point that now exists for Dials is that last skirmish that happened with mid laners. So that stopwatch that existed is no longer there, and Diana, free to roam.
Free to roam. World Ender comes online, and Chippy's world ends as he falls victim to a tower dive in the bottom lane, and that's instantly Direwolf's ticket to say, we need to do an objective. 2 dragons in our back pocket so far. Let's pick up Shelly.
Yeah, they'll get the Herald, so they will at least trade. That could net them a turret in advantage as well, but that's still so much power given over to the mid laner of Chiefs, who then translates that to the bottom lane as well. And suddenly, the Chiefs, out of what was nothing on the map, have these opportunities that present themselves, and that's the individual mechanics maxing of the players to enable that to happen.
That's going to net Tien a nice little lead in this 1v1. Up in CS, and now is the one to find himself the first turret for the Chiefs, opening up that side of the map and make it a little bit easier now for the subsequent dragons to be contested by the Chiefs.
Yeah, for sure, that mid lane priority is going to do wonders for them. Right now, Chiefs not really looking at the dragon at all. However, they might be willing to concede 3 of them to get some extra gold into their pockets. Chippies is the one who is suffering, because Katsuri and Korea CK, with 5 seconds until the Drake spawns, are most definitely not in the area. And Claire...
Well, he's going to look for the dash on in. Instantly, out comes the exhaust, and Shock will find it. Claps him with the primordial burst, the missing health component of that doing wonders. They find a nice little kill. Now they can translate that into a dragon, and Katsuri continues to look at sieging.
Yeah, a couple of head scratches happening this game. Honestly, I don't want to sugarcoat it too much. Like, the Dials are doing good things. They absolutely are. But you can present the facts and still question the decisions that are being made by their opponents. Claire's positioning, when 2 of his players are showing top lane, knowing that the Drake is up, gets ganked from bot side of mid. Now Tien flashes away, and Herald spawned in mid lane when they have the numbers disadvantage as well. Croc going to protect at least on top side, but that turret is gone.
Respects what it presents. Event Horizon will force out another flash, and as you saw, it is now broken. Herald finding value. And Direwolf's in a very comfortable situation in this one. They're up by nearly 2,000 gold at this stage of the game, 17 minutes in. And they are working towards that soul point very early on, with only 3 dragons spawning. They've acquired them on cooldown.
Decent gold advantage here for the AD carry position more than anyone else of the Direwolves. even though the farm is even. Of course, some turret plates to fall, 2, 1, and 3 in kills, and that 200 gold shutdown. Vital's going to step up to the plate and be a very large contributor to the team fight damage of the Direwolves if it continues on this trajectory. Of course, there is a Diana that stares him down. There's an Aatrox, a Jarvan, even Blitzcrank hooks, Misfortune ultimates. There's a lot that can take Vital out of a fight, but if he's able to stand and deliver damage, it will be incredibly high.
That's going to be made easier now by the Twin Shadows that Shock has in his pocket. Hunting down members, giving him that all-important movement speed to trying to avoid what Chiefs really present with this comp. That is to get in your face, dash at you, and destroy you before you have a chance to respond. You can see that Vital is working towards that 2-item spike as well. Very cost-effective, as you mentioned here, when you go Glacial Augment build on the Veigar. You can get those 2 items completed quick.
And speaking of Veigar, he has gone for the Twin Shadows with that GLP 800 instead of the Zhonya's Hourglass. He'll end up having all 3, but not having a Zhonya's means that Cupcake probably has to have exhaust for you to survive.
We'll have to see what happens when these fights go down. Claire knows what he's up against, but he'll just get slapped. The ulti coming on down, and he gets deleted.
There's 5 here.
Direwolves are on the hunt. It's going to be a full 5-man collapse underneath the top tower that is still alive and kicking, but that won't phase them. The piercing arrow comes out and secures the kill onto Korea CK. The Cataclysm to lock members in place for the bullet time, but flashes are used to get out of that AoE cone. Dive will stay strong for the meantime. Lane's pushing, looking to break open top.
And Claire sees what we do as well as hang on a second.
Hang on a second indeed. Oh, Mir, where have you flashed to? And he gets shut down.
Another shutdown goes over, but they will get the turret. 11 to 5 in kills will be the result after that fight. 3 Drakes still in their hands of Direwolves. Keep that in mind. No matter what happens in this game, in 2 minutes' time, it's a Mountain Soul that will be available for them. We'll see what happens in top lane because Shock's flash is what saves the day, and he also gets the stun wall down to really time pressure. And it does still hit the stun on Claire. That's one of the reasons this matchup is possible for a Veigar is Claire, as Diana, has to hit the Q, and that's enough time for you to reactively put down your cage. Now, the rest of this fight just happens as you would expect. A numbers advantage here for the Direwolves. Flashes over the wall through the turrets just to get the kills that they can. Croc will also ult out of a Veigar cage, which still stuns him, but he does cover the distance. And then with a stone plate, does enough to survive. And then you just go for the turret here. But for some reason, Mir dies. Let's look at how. Let's not look at how.
Let's not look at how. Let's save him the embarrassment of that Oath flash, because that was very questionable at best. A minute until this next Drake. Direwolves threatening with Soul Point. Chiefs need to establish some vision control if they can, but quite hard when mid turret is missing.
I'm being had. I'm just being had.
It's game 1 and you're already tilted, mate.
Drake very soon, Skivvy. That will potentially be, at the very least, you would expect the Chiefs to 5v5 for that one. I think they have no choice. A Mountain Soul is really hard to deal with on a lot of the tanky members that exist, and if you have a Diana in your composition, not only do you not want to give the 20% resistances that the Mountain Drake itself provides, but the extra shielding, how are you going to assassinate someone then?
Yeah, it would make this matchup, which is already quite bad, go from really bad to worse. And you start to get worried, really. How they find the damage to make these team fights swing in their balance. Let's see how they set themselves up for success now in this mid-wave. Flashes are available for Katsuri.
Well, they're going.
Use it to great effect. Croc's going to dash it in, followed up here by Claire. They do the damage. They assassinate Veigar and Varus. Both the carries gone. It's going to be a double kill now for Katsuri, who is very safe in that back line. They're going to look to try and get a full 5-man ace. Only Cupcake survives. Claire dashes in. The stopwatch is there, but it delays the inevitable. And when you need it, Katsuri turns up. He gets the ace and a triple to his name too.
They just get a 5-for-0 trade, Skimmy. They're going to go straight to the Baron buff, and at 22 minutes in, who cares about the Mountain Soul? Kill them before it even gets to that. They'll get the clean ace. They'll get the Baron buff. Hopefully, of course, Croc doesn't die to this camp, but the Chiefs put themselves at about a 2,000 gold lead in a situation where they were staring down a defeat against the Direwolves in game number 1.
how many times have we seen the Chiefs over the split do situations just like that? They hit a moment in the game and go, this is it, we've had enough, we're playing the team fight. And even when they're at a disadvantage, even when all the cards seem against them, they just pull a rabbit out of a hat and just find a 5-0 trade.
One of the most important things in League of Legends is the summoner spell timing in a competitive game, knowing there's no flashes. Varus is about to ult, so Tien in lots of trouble, going to die. So that Drake Soul still goes over to Direwolves, which is the very much needed thing. Keep your eyes on Claire, however. He's hunting.
He's looking for it, but they won't be able to steal this one. Out comes the hook this time. Now keep your eyes on Claire in the back lane, looking to try and assassinate again. Still no stopwatch, still no protection. Katsuri finds one, and then bullet time to lock them in place for an easy double. Greasy K will fall victim to this damage, however, and he's going to find himself a quadra kill. He's finding the goods, and he gets a back-to-back penta.
Katsuri's a madman. He's a misfortune possessed. He's done enough to give the Direwolves so much trouble that the Chiefs have not only come back into this game, they are tearing through them. They do give over the Mountain Soul, but Katsuri is a monster.
He is King Robert for a reason. He did it last time, and he does it again. This is the man you always look to turn up.
King Robert of House Chiefs now has, two of the only pentakills in the OPL, both in the playoffs. We'll see what happens again, because Direwolves do start this off better. As long as Shock and Vital aren't standing right next to each other, which they do at moments there, they can get through this fight. Claire gets stunned, he does get taken down. But that Misfortune ultimate, first of all, was outstanding. And then the double up connects, the flash forwards with absolute confidence. I mean, you can't fault the player here. Katsuri is insane.
He is an absolute machine. Not to get the only 2 pentakills in this split, but to do it against the same team twice. Really rubbing salt into the wounds. And we said it only moments before when they were down, found a 5-man ace, then went into a Baron, and then it was a 4v5 going into that Dragon Soul. You have to really wonder how he's able to just be so damn consistent and strong here.
I mean, let's go back 10 minutes in your mind. How are the Chiefs even winning this game right now, Like, that momentum swing is crazy. They have 9-1 Misfortune backing them up when they were getting 2v2 killed.
Very happy man he will be. And so will the Chiefs be in this situation, given how far behind they were, as you said. How can he look to unlock the map as a result? Chippies is pushing bot lane, doing what he does best, which is the split push shenanigans, trying to draw the attention of the Chiefs. But they have other ideas of their own. The plan is push through mids, look to get an inhibitor, but try and not fall victim to what this Veigar is looking to set himself up for.
Yeah, I don't think there's ever really a moment that the Direwolves want to threaten this without the Renekton nearby. You can see the Chiefs will choose to back away because that Renekton goes missing. But they'll take the turret that they got. Croc misses his flag and drag, but can still just walk away at the very least. So hard counters Tahm Kench. At the end of the day, that Mountain Soul is not going to provide the damage that the Direwolves need to break through to the Chiefs just yet. It is about buying some time, right? They have scaling through a Veigar. The Varus damage is still incredibly high and scales well. But my concern is that the Renekton and the Olaf, they do drop off. And it'll be very easy for the Chiefs to just start running down those carries.
But especially when you've got Misfortune with, 3 completed BF sword items. The guy's looking to 2-tap people.
Yeah, and a full item behind almost is Chippy's in that 1v1 as well. So his side lane threat not going to be as powerful. He does have the Blade of the Ruin King build, so he will be doing a lot of damage, but that makes him a very fragile champion right now. And Renekton being super fragile means that most of the tankiness has to come from an Olaf and the Tahm Kench, and Olaf not designed to be the tankiest champion.
It'll be quite hard now for him to get himself into that backline to do the damage. But bear in mind, they do still have that Mountain Soul, so a fair bit of resistance and a fair bit of protection if they can live to tell the tale. We can see really now what happens as a result of picking up all those kills. A significant advantage. 3,000 gold is Katsuri now over Vital's Varus.
Yeah, and Vital's not weak. It's just that Katsuri is incredibly strong. We've also got 3.5 items now done for Claire. It makes me wonder what that blasting one will go into, and if it is some kind of preemptive Void Staff. There is a bit of magic resistance littered through the team, but nice hook.
Hook lands, Event Horizon goes up very early on. Now this is going to force out a teleport from the members of Direwolves to come on into this one. Cataclysm just makes it so damn easy to land that bullet time, and they don't mince with their words. They find one. Shock responds back to turn it into a 4v4. Now they chase them through the mid lane with Tien laying down the law. He goes golden. Denies the cooldowns of Aveva for just a second. Croc on the flank denying the solo lane of the Direwolves. And they find themselves in a very comfortable situation, coming out ahead on a numbers advantage.
Yeah, that fight was actually closer in a lot of ways than you might have expected. Katsuri, while he's recalling now with full health and an overshield, was down to half HP. Vital, while he was getting knocked up by the Aatrox, still had that flash, and they chose to take the cautious exit route here, Direwolves, while Shock and Vital was still standing. That was one of those fights that, if it was a dead-even game, could have swung the other way in Direwolves' favour.
Well, stopwatches there, but kept them alive for just a little bit of second there was the Veigar. Now they got plenty of control wards in the inventory. They know what is at stake. 10 seconds on that Baron respawning, 40 seconds on the Elder. Now bear in mind, Direwolves, they've been very much in control of these objectives.
Where are you going?
They need to look for some picks here. And that's exactly what they're doing. They've
Croc just
isolated
used
that
his
Croc.
flag.
They want to destroy that jungler. If they can get rid of this makes it so easy. Croc is gone. It's a 4v5. And at the worst possible moment of this game here, Rusty.
I think he threw his flag for vision. It's going to be a 4v5 now. Nice look over the wall, but it's only a cupcake. The Baron still has the smiter in the pit. Chiefs are collapsing, though. It's entirely possible they take this fight.
Baron down to 3k. Tien flashes in, looking to land that route right now. Act as a pseudo cataclysm, if you will. Finds damage in one. Katsuri does a double. Now they chase on through. Diana gets himself online as well. And in once again, the most bizarre fashions. Chiefs just win 4v5s.
There's no smite there, so Claire does try to get rid of Shock as best he can. The hook might even get him over the wall to follow up with a kill. At the very least, he's going to be zoned away and chased down for eternity. That Baron will now definitely go over to the hands of the Chiefs. They still
Smite
win
is overrated.
the team
That's
fight.
what I've learned.
Croc melee flag drags. It's
Oh no, Rusty. This is everything you want from a game number one.
I think he could have stopped him. He just let him get away. They'll get the Elder anyway.
Chiefs just get everything. And this was what? It was like a 0-1 misfortune during the laning phase. Now at 11-1, back-to-back Barons. Who cares about the Dragons? Elder is the only Dragon we're interested in. Chiefs now in a 9,000 gold lead with mid open already. Inhibitor waiting to be taken on down. Can look for these 1v1s.
Might be 0-6 after this one.
Damage is there. Later, the Rune King will put in a bit of work to keep him online, but the Elder is the difference maker.
Claire has teleport here as well. The level 17 Diana, by the way, will be able to come in and assist the team. There's an open inhibitor in mid lane. And with a Baron and Elder buff team, Direwolves are not going to contest this one. You would be shocked if they did. It could lose them the entire game. So you give away one inhibitor, maybe poke, but it's risky against the Blitzcrank. It's the second inhib where they might consider holding at a turret, but even then, they don't have chippies for 20 whole seconds. So it could just be two inhibitors sacked, and then hold the third.
Well, Claire after that solo kill there, resets, TP's back in, has a QSS in his inventory right now, making it very easy for the Dyna to do work and not be just outright countered by the Veigar cage. Two inhibitors will fall on down now. And Direwolves' chances of closing out game one in their fashion are slowly dwindling away as well.
Yeah, all that's really left for the Chiefs to do is reset, go towards top lane, let the supers start to build as they crash now. You can see the bigger red dots, of course, on your mini-map. For those watching, will know that those are supers. Time your wave. You know, when someone has to deal with one of those super waves, as Renekton seems to always need to do. Now 0-6 takes quite a while to clear those minions. That's when you start to push more aggressively. That Elder and Baron will be close to timing out. Still got this wave, though.
They set things up. They do not wait. Instantly in with the Cataclysm right now. Chippy's on the flank looking to do whatever he can with a dominance, but Elder Dragon is just too damn strong. Bullet time from afar. The carries do the damage. And the killing sprees They come back to back to back. Every member survives. The Chiefs dominate this late game. They take everything, and they will start this best of 5 with a victory.
They do dominate the late game, Skibby. I cannot argue with that. But the early game was not theirs to have. It was the Direwolves. And somehow, in some way, they managed to win these team fights. They get a perfect fight in mid lane. They hit a Wombo with a Jarvan and a Diana with a Misfortune ultimate on top. Katsuri gets a pentakill. And that's how they come back into this first game. I mean, that's not the way you want to do it, but you'll be happy that you got the win because that stops all momentum of the Direwolves. You know, they came in off the back of a series victory, and now they're the ones who have to reset after the Chiefs beat them straight up.
And you saw a lot of that momentum carrying over from last night, going into game number 1, right? Just the way they set themselves up, the way they presented and really dominated that early game to mid. But then, as you say, that one team fight, I'm very curious how the analysts break that one down. We'd have to wait and find out what they have to say about that one, what Spawn mentions as well, in particular, I'm sure. But let's jump to a break. Let's reset ourselves, reset the players themselves, and we'll see you after 5.